Welcome to Replenish, the atmosphere of discovery, where we discover the master's plan for our lives. We are in the recovery sessions now. The first ones were discovery. So we were discovering the things that was holding us back, discovering the deep things, the deeply rooted things within us that we may not have known how to deal with. And so now we are in the recovery stage. Okay, so we had to dig up all of those bad roots before we pour something good into that soil. So today's session is on compatibility. Today, we will be talking about compatibility. Okay, so we are all trying to achieve what we were created to accomplish in this life, right? So hopefully, if you have been listening to Replenish, you want to live out the master's plan. So we've lived all of these years our way, kind of, getting on track with the master's plan and then getting back off. But if you've been listening to Replenish, hopefully you have agreed that, hey, we're going to stop doing it our way and we're going to go with the master's plan. God has already set up appointments and alignments to help us stay the course, right? Whenever we get off track, he's already predestined and sent in people and situations that will call us back to our purpose, right? And so often we get off course by being sidetracked, by being traumatized, by being broken down by life and our experiences. And so because of that, we fail to keep our destiny appointments and we fail to create those destiny alignments. Okay, so it's important to find your destiny helpers in life and not waste time with destiny blockers. Okay, it's important to find your destiny helpers and not waste time with those destiny blockers. Okay, in order to do that, you have to pay attention to compatibility. Okay, so compatibility is a state in which two things are able to exist or happen together without a bunch of problems and conflict. Okay, that means they can exist together successfully. Emphasis on successfully, right? So if your friendships, your relationships, your family unit, or your career paths are not successfully existing, then there is some destiny blocking going on. Okay, so compatibility is the state where two things are able to exist and happen without a lot of problems and conflict. And so if any type of relationship you have, if it is not successfully existing with you, then there is some destiny blocking happening. Okay, and so that's not to say that conflict won't show up, right? But those conflicts will be able to be resolved. Okay, you will be able to gain some type of understanding and communicate constructively, right? That means the communication will be effective. Your communication should be intended to be useful to develop or improve your understanding, right? That's what constructive communication is, right? It must be effective. You can keep talking, but there's no effectiveness, right? You're not getting anywhere. So even if you have conflict, you communicate and you come with an understanding when you come out of that conflict. Okay, so if there are constant misunderstandings, then you probably have some destiny blockers, right? Or some people are in the way of you getting into alignment with your purpose, because those disagreements that you have, they're causing detours, and then later you're misdirected and you're misaligned, right? So that causes you to get off track. That causes you to lose your focus, and it causes you to be in a constant cycle of quitting and starting, right? Because you have some destiny blockers in your midst. Okay, success in compatibility is measured by achieving certain goals, right? Success and compatibility is measured by achieving certain goals. What are your friendship goals? Are your goals the same when you have an argument, right? The same goals in your relationships, the same goals in your family and within your career. Do you still have that shared goal even when you have a disagreement? Is the goal to bring about a fair solution or a compromise, or is the goal to be right? Is the goal to have the last say, right? So in every relationship, when you think about compatibility, the goal should be the same, right? Your goal should be the same. You shouldn't have a disagreement with someone and the goal is not to see a solution, right? That means that that relationship probably isn't benefiting you, okay? So successful friendships, relationships, family units, and careers are not only beneficial to one side. It is not one-sided. We have a lot of one-sided codependent relationships that we call successful, right? But we're receiving no benefit, right? We're not benefiting from those relationships. It's not bringing peace to you. It's not encouraging you. It's not growing you. It's not promoting you. It's not caring for you. And it's not even pulling you towards your purpose. Matter of fact, it's hindering your purpose. It's causing you to constantly get off track and not be focused, right? So these destiny blockers, they have the ability to manipulate your attention, your thoughts, your perception, your feelings, and even your memory, right? When you challenge their inconsistencies, they manipulate you into remembering what happened a different way, right? And it causes you to change your perspective to be what they want it to be, okay? And this way, they continue to benefit from you while you get further away from where you are supposed to be, right? That's what destiny blockers do. And they come in different forms. They can come in the form of family, right? They can come in the form of your boss. They can come in the form of people you've looked up to, people that have influence over you, right? How many of you feel like you're not where you should be? If you feel that way, then there are some blockages and some incompatibilities that are there, okay? You have to ask God to realign and even sometimes reassign you, okay? And when people start leaving, don't fight it, okay? When they stop calling, don't give in to loneliness and just, hey, I just wanted to see what you were doing. I hadn't talked to you in a while. When you ask God to realign you, things are going to start moving and you will be surprised what he shakes you free from, okay? So our challenge with determining who is assigned to us, right, is that people are a mixture of good and bad, oftentimes, right? They're not all bad, right? And they may be good people, right? But they aren't good for you. And a lot of times we can't tell the difference, okay? You could have a great job, but the bad part about that is not great for you, okay? It could be great for everybody else. You could be a great fit for them, but they're not a great fit for you, okay? And so you have to understand the difference and you have to be okay with the difference, right? There may be good qualities in your family, right? But the bad qualities in your family is making you miss your destiny appointments, okay? It is a mixture of good and bad. And so it's not all bad, but it's not all good. And then you have to determine is that even though it's good or they're good, they may not be good for you. They may not be a part of your destiny. And we have to learn to start being okay with that. It doesn't mean you hate someone. It doesn't mean you hate a place. It doesn't mean you hate an idea. It just means it's not compatible to you. Okay. So, how do you know when you're no longer compatible in these different relationships? The first thing, there will be constant conflicts of interest, and you will find yourself compromising your judgment and compromising your actions. Okay. You will compromise in your judgment and you will compromise in your actions. So you understand that you are no longer compatible, but you kind of still trying to force it by doing things that you would normally do, doing things that you don't agree with, right? Another thing, fighting. Fighting can be physical, it can be mental, it can be emotional. Constant fighting. This is how you know you're no longer compatible. Not finding something to agree with or have in common. You have nothing in common and you trying and you trying and you end up going back to compromising, how you act or how you are or how you feel, right? Just to try to force that agreement or force something in common, okay? Another way you know you're no longer compatible is there are constant misunderstandings or misinterpretations of things that you say and do, okay? Another way, lack of support, right? That can let you know that you are no longer compatible. There's no sufficient encouragement or assistance toward the things and ideas that you value, right? Different priorities. When you are being intentional and steadfast about what order you put things in, and that keeps being ignored, you may no longer be compatible, okay? Different goals, okay? You have different goals for your friendship or relationship, your family, or career, right? Your goals are starting to change. At first, you put this first, and now, it's second, okay? Another way you know you're no longer compatible, if you're not able to feel safe and be vulnerable consistently, okay? If you have all of these friends and or relatives that don't really know personal things about you, you can't tell them anything, you don't trust that whatever they say or whatever you say, they'll be able to keep private, you might not be compatible, right? Different morals and values. There should be a standard or belief system that is not crossed, right? If someone knows what you believe in and what you stand for, and they're constantly crossing those boundaries, you may no longer be compatible, okay? And remember, we're talking about friendships, we're talking about relationships, we're talking about your career, right? We're talking about your family, okay? So if you are experiencing any of the things that I've just said, look into how compatible you actually are, not how compatible things appear to be, right? Because our eyes can see something, our ears can hear something, but we can make ourselves believe something completely different, right? Look into how compatible things actually are. Okay. And so you may have a sense of dependence in certain relationships that blind you to recognizing that lack of compatibility, right? And you can be controlled to the point that you fail to realize your value. If in any one of those relationships that I listed, if you have a hard time finding out where you stand with a person, you're probably not compatible. Okay. In every kind of relationship, like I said, friendship, relationship, marriage, family, your career, in every kind of relationship, there should be a sense of respect and value. If you never feel value, if you never feel heard or understood at any point of that relationship, you are participating in the failure of your destiny. You are participating and helping those destiny blockers derail you, causing you to quit, right? And when you quit, what do? Are they there? Are they supporting you? Are they lifting you up? Are they encouraging you? This is how you know if they are compatible, okay? And these misalignments directly affect your momentum. They redirect the force and speed you should have going in the right direction, right? So it is important for us to be aligned, right? And when we're asking God to realign us, and some of us are having to ask God to reassign us, right? You should begin to go in the right direction, okay? When you enter a new season, you will find yourself coming to common ground with people you may not have agreed with before, right? Your values begin to align, right? And you find people supporting you that you wouldn't even thought to ask to support you. You didn't even have to ask. God had already placed them there, right? And so most times we reject it because it's new, right? But it's realigning you to purpose. And so we pray these prayers, and when stuff starts happening, we cling to the thing that God is trying to get us to release, right? We cling to the memories and the feelings instead of recognizing that these people, that these places, these ideas no longer serve our purpose. Okay. So we've talked a lot about destiny because we must realize our future was already established. Sometimes that's a hard concept to conceive, right? Our futures, our destiny was already prepared. Okay. And because we are living on the earth, we have to manifest that which was already set up in the eternal realm here in the natural realm, right? So agreements are so important with what you agree with. It starts from infancy, you guys. Uh, when your children are born, if you're a parent and you agreed with something negative somebody said about your child, it is very, very serious. If you agree with what your child says about themselves, that's not true. That's something they heard from somebody else. It's very, very serious, because you will find that if they believe it, they will become it. Okay, that's why it's important that when we read the word of God, we actually believe it. So we can say we believe God. We can say we are believers. But if we are becoming what we read, right? So agreements are more important than you think they are. They can cause you to propel, to push forward, to progress, or they can cause you to fail, depending on what you are agreeing with. Okay. When you lock yourself into an agreement with a system that was created to block you from achieving God's purpose, you have to break them. And a lot of times they don't want to let you go easily, because that's their sole assignment. That was why they were created, to block you. And they are going to fulfill their mission, right? And so we have to fulfill our mission, right? They don't get sidetracked. Whatever the plan is for your demise, that's the plan, and they stick to it. Because we have free will, we don't stick to it. We choose to focus on something else, right? And so you have to break those agreements, okay? Sometimes your soul gets involved, and you have to break those soul ties. You don't have only soul ties to a person. You have soul ties to places. You have soul ties to ideas, right? You have soul ties to your enemies, their dislike of you, right? If you receive the knowledge of your destiny alignment and your destiny appointments, this means it's already predetermined, right? If you receive that knowledge, you will be sure to check your compatibility, not based on if someone looks or sounds the part, but you would dig a little deeper to see if that's God connecting you to that person, if God is connecting you to this place, if God is connecting you to that career, if God has connected you with this family. Sometimes we reject the family that God has connected us to because they're not blood, right? You can be born into a family that is not attached to your purpose. God just needed some bodies, right? And they were available. Okay. And it's hard for some people to understand, but thank God for using their body, right? And get to the family that aligns with your purpose. Okay. I'm a mother of 7. I understand. I might not be able to carry them for a certain season of their lives. Sometimes God is going to align them to other men or women of God that's created for their purpose. And I have to be willing to say, okay, they're the destiny helpers. I can get in the way just because I birthed them, right? And they end up missing their assignment. Okay. So make sure that you are with the family that God has already created for your purpose. Okay. Stop being codependent with people and places and ideas that are not compatible to you. You're trying to satisfy their needs while they control or manipulate the outcome of your life. In most codependent relationships, one or both of you are emotionally unstable. And that's why we talk a lot about how we think, how we feel, because it affects who we become. Okay. Are your friendships compatible? Is your relationship compatible? Is your family compatible to you? Your career, is it compatible? Not what you think your life should be, right? But the master's plan. Is it compatible to the plan that God created for you? He knew, right? So he's already planned ahead. He knew who to put in place. He knew where you should be for every season of your life, right? Are you compatible with the people, places, and position that you are in right now? I want you to think about that. Think about the people in your life. Think about the people that have influence in your life. And some people have influence without speaking a word to you. It's the way they act, right? You they can act a certain way around you and it influences you positively or negatively, right? Are you compatible or are you resisting who or what you are compatible with? Are you resisting God understanding you're in a different season? And so what did he say with Adam and Eve? He needed to make a helper compatible, right? Comparable. It's not just in those types of relationships. It's also in your friendships. It's also in your career, what you do for income, right? Those relationships have to be compatible. They're helpers, right? Are you choosing today to realign and place yourself in the right position with the right people in the right place for this season of your life? I want you to think about that. Compatibility is very important, right? You need to find and connect with your destiny helpers and leave those destiny blockers alone. They will continue to feed you the opposite of everything that you need to hear. They will continue to keep pointing you in a whole different direction so that you never realign with purpose and people die never walking the path that God intended them to walk. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He's like, I've already predetermined where I wanted you. But there were people that come in, right? There's ideas and thoughts that come in to take you off course, right? And so I want you to think about that. What are you compatible with? Who are you compatible with? That concludes our session on compatibility. I will see you next Friday at 3 p.m. Go and be blessed.